Hey, you guys, I am joined by international model and published photographer Jess W. One of my long time friends. Gosh, I don't know. I think I've known you since your second child was like a year or two.
Yes.
So,
So
how old
forever.
is he?
20.
He's what?
He's 20.
No, you need to
Yes.
stop. So, about 20
But
years. So,
we're really young.
yes, we're not a day
I don't
over
know how
25.
they keep
No.
getting older and we just stay the same age.
Exactly, that's okay. So how we met, it's, very interesting. My previous world, I did, web design and whatnot, and your mom was my mentor, my second mom, my best friend, my everything, and in turn, she introduced me to you, and I think ever since, we've always kinda just stayed in touch and laugh every once in a while on the phone or whatever.
Yes.
Um, a little more about your mom. She was very spiritual, very psychic, very powerful psychic. I think she taught both of us everything we know about spirituality. So
Yes. Yes.
tell us a little more about that. Like, y-
So, yes, my mom was a very powerful woman. I mean, when I think of the divine and the feminine, I think of her,
me too. Mhm.
she was just so amazing. The biggest heart that you've ever seen on somebody.
Mhm.
She had a phone room for the psychic network
Yep.
during like the Miss Cleo era. Like if anybody's old enough to remember those
Not
commercials.
us. Not
Yeah,
us.
I don't know what that was. Um, but the call me now, and so she ran a phone room for the psychic network, and she opened the doors to so many different things in my life with that, and I met so many different people through that. She hired everyone and anyone that even thought that they might do good at this just because that's who she was. She gave
Mhm.
everyone an opportunity, she gave everyone a chance. Um, the least judgmental person you ever met. Um,
Yes.
Definitely kind of set herself up for some hurt that way too, though.
Oh,
I
yes.
was always telling her, You've got to stop letting people walk all over you like this," but that's just who she was. She just let everybody have chances and chances and
She did
chances.
over and
Yes.
over. Yep.
So she taught me how to read tarot, and she taught me about astrology, and I mean, she taught me everything. She was raised staunch Catholic, so growing up everything was very strict for her. She was also raised from a generation above her. Her grandparents raised her, so it was a very structured and strict upbringing. And because of that, I think once she kind of was released from that, she never wanted to do that to her own children. She never wanted to force religion or beliefs on us.
Mhm.
So,
I remember taking a lot of that from her. I was a young mother. She was kind of like I said, a second mom for me. And I remember having that discussion like, I was raised Catholic too. So I kind of didn't denounce it, just stepped away from religion in a whole. And I remember her saying, as long as you love your children and teach them right from wrong, it doesn't matter what their belief system is in the future. So just love them. You don't have to force them into a religion. And I didn't. So my
yes.
kids just kind of found their own way, which is amazing. If they
And I
choose
think
that,
that's
great.
beautiful. I think that that's the way, because as a society, we are so conditioned into whatever beliefs the people who raise
Mhm.
us have. We are, it's just like animals, we get domesticated into this belief system of whoever raises us. And then it's difficult because as we get older and we start to think different things or believe different things, we feel like we are breaking the rules because that's
Right.
not what we were taught. So it's a really hard thing to go through and heal those parts of ourselves, because we feel like we are going against our parents or the people that we love because we believe something different than what we were told to believe, than what we were
Mhm.
made to believe, you know? So I think by the way that she raised me, just, I mean, she always talked about God. She always talked about a higher power. She was always
Right.
very spiritual, talking about how we have guardian angels and things like that. But she never force fed us anything. She never, like, wasn't like Bible study, anything like that. It was like we got to kind of discover our own spirituality, our own beliefs on our own
Mhm.
time, and if, of course, if we ever had questions about things, she was more than willing to give us many different perspectives. And, well, it could be like this, it could be like this, but none of us really know. So it's up to you to decide what you believe. And I think that that made it like so much
Yeah.
easier. I had so many friends that one of my friends, her dad was a pastor, and she was the bad girl, and
Aw.
we had so I had so many friends that grew up so many different ways. And I remember, like, you couldn't do things on Sundays because that was church day, and
Mm.
stuff like that. So um I do love that she let us kind of choose. It was me, my brother, and my sister. She let us all kind of
Mhm.
choose what we believed, and just kind of make up our own minds about it with her guidance, of course, but nothing forced. And
Right.
I took that over into my own parenting too. I have 5 sons,
Yeah.
so
Oh my god. You guys, doesn't she look amazing? 5 kids. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh,
I don't know how you
but
do it. I struggle with I have 2 and one's an adult. She doesn't even live at home anymore, and the other one, 15, and I feel like I'm all over the place and I don't ever know if I'm doing the right thing. So with 5, I don't know how you do it.
and that it's so interesting too, because it's like, I've raised them all. I've been a
Mhm.
single mom pretty much the entire time.
Right.
I mean, it's interesting because they I've raised them all. I've done the same thing, but it's like the personalities and the difference and the people, they're just all so different. They all need different things. They all need me at different times. There's certain
Mhm.
things that they're more independent. One's more independent where the other's not. And
Mhm.
it's the biggest blessing ever. They really are my reason for being here, and I know that,
Oh, yes, for sure. Mhm.
but I've tried to take that over with them as well, just kind of let them um but I love it because kids see, you know, you can't do the, like, do as I say, not as I do thing with kids. They see it all. Even when you don't
Right.
think they're paying attention,
Oh,
they
yes,
are
they
paying
are.
attention.
They're watching.
So yes. So that's been an interesting thing, especially with my youngest, because I have been more
Mm.
open about my practices since he was little. So he's very much into the, like, law of attraction and manifestation. And he'll do his breath work. He'll, even if he sees me getting agitated, Mom, just, take your breaths, like,
So sweet.
so they each have a different relationship with spirituality and with God. And I love it. I really do, because I just feel like I never really made them do anything. I let them build their own relationship with, God, the higher power, whatever you like to call it. But I love that because it's their own. It's not something that
Mhm.
I forced them into. It's not something that their grandparents or other generations forced them into. It's just like, believe what you believe, because that's where the magic happens. Once you
Right.
have that belief and you have that faith in what you believe, that's when the real magic happens.
Mhm. And, like your mom used to say, just lead in love, and I think that
Mhm.
that's what you've done. You've led them in love. Just no matter what their, faults or imperfections or mistakes or whatever, you just love them. And
Yes.
that's the best guidance of all. So
Yes, it's such an unconditional love, it's being being a mom is my very favorite thing in the world,
me
and I
too.
attribute that to her.
Mhm.
She was an amazing amazing mom. I still feel her all the time. Um
I do too. I see little green things all around, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Like some of my
yes.
worst days, I'll hear her voice or I'll see
Yes.
something green, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Just breathe. Just
Yes.
breathe. So,
Yes. Yes. And she just actually today is special when we started talking and I was like this is the day that she transitioned. I was just like this was meant to be. This is
mm,
perfect. And this whole week it's always very well, it starts in Pisces season and then ends in Aries. So it
yeah.
really the emotions really
Oh,
do
yeah.
flow this week anyways. But
Yeah.
her birthday, she was a St. Patty's baby.
Mhm.
And so we have her birthday and then, you know, the day that she collapsed and then the day that she transitioned. So, um, I mean, it's been years now, but I still
Oh,
feel
yeah.
it very fully,
It's, yeah, no, it's not as if it's not as if, I mean, I don't know how to say this. There have been others that have left my life, my world, and in years you feel like, well, that's sad. I miss them, but I'm okay.
Mhm.
Her, it's very different.
It
It's if
is.
you go through that emotion every year again. Like
Yes.
her loss was
And no
tremendous
one
for all of us.
I try to it's so hard because and that's why I love you with my whole heart and my whole soul because it's just like if you didn't get the chance to meet her, you wouldn't understand it.
Right, absolutely. I understand it. I feel her. I miss her dearly.
Mhm.
I literally for years spoke to her every single day.
Yes.
Every single day. Of
Yes.
course, granted, she and I worked together on multiple projects, but she was my best friend. Like anything I
Yes.
needed, the mom that I needed at that time. So
Yes.
yeah, amazing. So you're right. If you hadn't met her, you wouldn't understand. But
Yes.
let's talk about, I know she'd never been into anything like yoga or anything, but you have taken that into a different world. So let's talk
Yes.
about that.
So, actually, it was after she passed, and
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
know
I
my
know what
life.
happened. Things
You
were
know what happened.
terrible at that time.
Yes.
Yeah. Um,
So I went through a very hard, very just horrible time in my life and I needed something. I
mm,
really was just searching for something. And I mean I needed my mom, really was what I
absolutely.
needed,
Mm,
and thank God for you. Thank God that I
mhm.
had you because
Yeah,
I don't know what I would have done without you, but
definitely.
um I was searching for something, I was searching for something to like help me feel like myself again, help me feel that love for myself again. I was exploring different things and reading different things about self-love and healing
Mhm.
and just really trying to find something for myself. And my mom was always my biggest fan with anything. I mean, I played
Mhm.
hockey, I rode motocross. But something that a lot of people don't know because I was not a girly girl was that I did used to do dance and I did used to do gymnastics. And
Mm.
my mom had a program through the Parks and Recs out where we lived in California. And my mom was the least coordinated person you could ever imagine in your
Right.
life. She could not, it's so funny too because she was an aerobics instructor for 10 years and you're just like how when you cannot find a beat in a song to save your life. But
Right.
nobody cared because she just carried this energy with her. Nobody cared if she was off beat, like they were just having fun with her and going with her, and like she just inspired everyone that
Mhm.
she
She
met.
did.
So I thought about that a lot when we taught tiny tots tumbling. So it was little toddlers up until I think about 5 or 6 years old. And my mom couldn't do any of the things, but she would put the program together and then I would teach and I would be the one that would kind of
Mm.
show how to do it and things like that. So those were years in my life that I really loved and that I really felt connected to her and that I really felt like was my time with her. Because you know, later in life, things shift, things change. And I felt like I didn't get to have that close relationship that I wanted with her. So when I was thinking about the times that I really had a close relationship with her, it was those times.
Mhm.
And she loved to watch me perform, and she loved, and she would tell me how talented and how amazing. And I mean, like, even if I sucked, it wouldn't have mattered. She would have told me I was
I
amazing,
know,
right?
yeah, right.
But so I kind of started to like see these different people doing yoga poses, and I didn't even really know what it was, to be honest. I thought it was just some sort of gymnastics, really. So I was like, "Oh, I can do that." Like, I'm seeing it. I'm like, "Oh, I can do that. Like, I can make my body do that, like I can contort, I can do that." So I started to just I've never been to a yoga class before.
Oh, wow.
So,
You would
yeah,
not know it. Oh my
yeah,
god.
so I've never been to a yoga class. I mean, I did my yoga teacher training, but that was later on. I did my 2 hour, to be a registered yoga teacher, but that was later on. So I just started to like watch these different videos. It was mainly on Instagram. It was like the little clips. I think it was even before Reels. It was just like those little clips that they would
Mhm.
have, and it would just be like people doing different poses and stuff. And I would just kind of emulate that and just kind of copy that. And I started to feel things change in me. And it's funny too. Uh, there's different poses for different chakras. So there's like different things that open different, parts of your body. And my mom passed of congestive heart failure. And so I found myself kind of just automatically doing these heart opening poses without realizing what anything was. Because, like I said, I had no idea what any of this stuff was at the time when I started getting into it. And when I started to learn more and study more and understand more, I realized that I was trying to heal my heart, without
Mhm.
even knowing. Like, the body knows, the body keeps score, the body keeps count. You carry trauma in places, and so I just kind of got drawn to doing these different heart opening poses. And when I kind of put those things together, and when I was studying and learning, I was like, wow, like my body just really knew what I needed. And I needed to open my heart. I needed to let it flow. I needed to let the emotions go, which emotions, we always talk about it as being energy and motion. Like, you've
Right.
got to let it flow. And so it really just was to heal myself. I was really just looking for something to like heal myself, to like get
Mhm.
over the pain just of everything that I went through. I mean,
Right.
me and my kids lost our home, we lost all of our things. It was a really hard time for us.
Horrible, horrific, yeah.
Yes. So, once I got to my safe haven, once we moved back to Ohio and we got away from all of that craziness, um, I just I wanted to be better again. Like, I wanted to be able to be there for my kids. I wanted to be able to not just going through the motions, you know what I mean? Not just like
Right.
wake up, make
Mhm.
food, take to school. Just, I wanted to be there as
Be
me again.
present and helping,
Yes.
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 Get it.
So that's really what got me into yoga. And when I started to really pick up and study and learn the spiritual aspects of it, I just was like, this is it. Like, I found it, you
Like
know?
I said before we started the show, I am really short, and I think, like, I wanna do it, and then I try, and I'm like, "Nope, my little legs don't do that. They don't do that."
That
I don't know.
411 just staying low to the ground.
Right, and, like, so do you have any suggestions for short people like me that, like,
Yeah.
I'm not,
So
like, in
So that's
great
the most
shape, but
amazing part of yoga, is that it's for literally every body.
mhm,
And when I say body, it's any body type. So we all have different places that we start, and that's just like with anything, right? So some people, don't start with any sort of background of anything. This is their first time doing anything like real physically. There's people who are, senior age, that they've never done it before. There's people that are kind of working through um injuries, trying to get their bodies to feel better. There's people that are working through traumas and mental things. That was kind of my thing, you know. Um, it's for everyone, and there's different aspects to yoga too. It's not just only asana, which is the physical practice. There is meditation, you know, there is
Mm.
just different things that we can do to really get into the practice of true yoga. So you know that not everyone's working on doing handstands or, you know, wheel poses or more of the contortion side of things. There is, you
Mm.
literally lay on your back and you're in savasana and you're just there, you
Oh,
know,
yeah, yeah.
and
I could
you
probably
can,
do that.
yeah, yeah. You said I got that one
I got
down.
that one down.
Yeah. And there's like different, you know, just different stretching and different things that get our bodies, you know, kind of greased up. Like there's like happy baby pose, which is a great one. You're just literally laying on your back with your feet in the air, like the
Got
little,
it.
yep.
I'm there. Got it. I can totally do that one. Yeah.
And there's child's pose, which is just kind of a forward fold. I mean, there's just so many amazing
Mhm.
things that, you know, it doesn't take the physical aspect. Like I said, that's just one part of it, you know? So it doesn't take having, you don't have to like be better. It's not a competition. It's not like who's going to win the game today. It's just whatever feels good in your body. And like I said before, I had never taken a yoga class. So I was just kind of flowing and doing my own thing and just kind of learning as I went. And like I'm looking stuff up and I'm like, oh, I do that all the time. I didn't even
Mm.
know that was a pose because it was just my body moving and how my body just knew like this is what it needs. You need balance right now, girl. Get your stuff in line. Get your
Right,
balance
yeah.
going, you know. You need to open your heart. You need to open your throat, you know, different things. Oh, you need some sacral love or you need some solar love. You need to be rooted and grounded. Get your feet in the grass. Like it's just we know intuitively what we need, but we
Mhm.
ignore it. And when we ignore our intuition, it's not as strong because it's a muscle just like anything else. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And when we constantly ignore that and when we constantly don't listen to that, it gets weaker and we don't trust it as much. So if we just get back into our intuitive nature that we all have, that we're all born with, that's our birthright, then we can feel the things that our body needs. You know, we
Right.
know like, hey, I need to move. Like my back's feeling stiff. Let me get up and just move, you know, or I've been
Mhm.
sitting here working all day and I have a stiff shoulder. Let's do some stretches. Like, but instead we're like, ooh, my back hurts. Like,
Right. And, I
cool.
think in some of my more recent, like, we've been doing these, interview series with different people, and I spoke to one person, and I it indicated, and just firmly believe this, everyone in the world, well, not everyone, most people want to be, like a victim, and most people wanna be angry, and they wanna sit in those emotions, and poor me, and it's all your fault, and no one wants to do their own work to move forward out of, for lack of better words, sitting in their own shit. Stop
Exactly.
sitting in your own shit.
Exactly.
Something bad or terrible happened, or you got your heart broken, or whatever it is. I mean,
Yes.
you yourself know this. Of
Yes.
all people, you've been through some horrific traumatic events, and look how amazing you are now. And um the trauma that you went through, it'll never go away. It's always going to be there, but you found ways to move forward and move past it, and really use it to become strong. Like, in my
Yes.
belief, you have become mighty in your world,
Oh,
and I feel
thanks.
like you have used that pain as a springboard to do it. And I think more people need to learn how to do that. The world would be a very different place if everyone could
Yes.
take this kind of mindset on. So preach, my sister, to the people.
Yes. Yes. 222 just showed up on my phone.
Oh,
Sorry, I was
there you
distracted.
go. See, I think that
Yes.
means the right place or something. I'm not sure.
Well, I know we're in the right place. I love
Definitely.
angel numbers. I really do.
Mhm.
But Yeah, more so with kind of what you were saying about, that victim mindset and feeling wanting to feel angry and wanting to feel that way. And it's something that I try to teach as well, just like, anger is just an emotion and it's
Mhm.
okay. And it's okay to feel angry because it's telling you something is wrong.
Right.
It's telling you that this needs to change. Whatever is happening right now, this that's bringing you this anger is telling you something is wrong. It is time to change something. But it's when we sit in that and we don't make a change and we don't let that flow and let us tell us what needs to change, that we become an angry person. And instead of having the emotion, we become that emotion. And
Mhm.
that's when it gets messed up. That's when
Agreed.
your alignment is just, out of whack. And
Mhm.
it's the way that we react to things also, just because somebody does something that triggers that emotion for us where we feel angry or where we feel sad or any emotion, irritated, frustrated, whatever it may be. It's how we react to that, how we respond to that, that we are responsible for. No one else is responsible for our reaction.
Mhm.
You can say like, that made me feel angry. When you said this, that hurt my feelings, that upset me, that made me feel unseen or unheard. But at the end of the day, it's what you take from that and it's the work that you do with that. Like, should that have made me feel angry?
Right.
Is this something that they're
Is this a
reflecting
me
to me?
thing? Is this a me
Yeah.
being triggered thing, me being
Exactly.
sensitive?
Like, are they
Yeah.
just reflecting something to me that I'm unhappy with in myself? Of course, there's
Mhm.
assholes too. Like,
Of
just,
course.
and
Of
like, we
course.
just can't, there's
Right.
nothing we can do about that. But there's also the people that are closest to you, the people that love you, the people that would never intentionally hurt you. If something that they do or something that they say gets you feeling some type of way, it's all about communicating anyways. It's all about letting them know that that made you feel that way. It's all about saying, hey, I didn't like the way that this made
Right.
me feel. And like, what did you mean by that? Because a lot of times, too, it's just that miscommunication. We don't always speak on the same wavelength. Somebody could say something and you take it an entirely different way based on your mood, you know?
Right, and, and that's kind of a good point, like, different opinions, and that they can be based on our moods, but also our perception of things. I had
Yes.
someone ask me recently, like, they were kinda just sharing, I had a really great friend, and I kinda messed up the whole situation, I did some bad things, I wanna get back together with this friendship, but I don't know how. I'm like, well, first of all, just communicate that with them. Sit down and try to have a
Yes.
conversation. And also remember, if they choose not to continue that friendship based on what happened, maybe they accept your apology and want to move on. You have to
Yes.
accept that. I see a
Yes.
lot of people hanging on to things in their past. Like I said,
Mhm.
you and I both know we've both experienced traumas in our life. And if we had hung on to those and never moved forward, where
Be
would we
late.
be
We would
today?
be in a mental place,
Right,
one of
right.
the padded rooms together.
Exactly. So we have to like accept other people's, statements, beliefs, and
Yes.
feelings. And a lot of people feel like they can force actions and situations. And I think it's just all within themselves. Figure out what's wrong
Yes.
with you. Why are you trying to force
Yes.
someone to do something they don't want to?
Yes.
So, yeah,
Exactly.
the world
And
is
and we
really
all
strange.
just have different ways of seeing things too and saying things too. I actually just a couple days ago, me and my boyfriend were having a conversation and I was asking him some different questions like about just how he sees things, how he views things. And he, was telling me kind of his list of things. And then I kind of tell him my list of things. And I'm like, it's weird because we're like on such different pages basically. Like, you're talking more in line
Mm.
of like business and this kind of stuff, and I'm talking like emotion and love and this and that. And he's like, no, we literally said the same exact thing.
You're just
And
speaking two different languages,
right,
and
but
that
I was
happens.
so dead set on like, no, we didn't. And I had to like really sit with it for a minute and be like, wow, you know what, like this does line up with this, and this does mean the same thing as this, but your brain is working on this aspect and mine's on this aspect, but we truly are saying the same thing, and we can put that together, and it
Mhm.
is the same emotion, and it is the same feeling, and it is the same goal, but you just verbalize it different than I verbalize it because you're a man and I'm a woman, you
You just
know.
described every one of mine and my husband's arguments, because at the end of it,
Yes.
we're like, "God damn it, we're both saying the same thing."
Yeah,
Never
we're
mind.
both saying the exact same
We're
thing,
both right,
but
we're
it's
both
like
wrong.
you're trying to make him see something from your perspective. And
Because I'm
it's
not
like,
seeing it from his, right.
right. And it's like, but it's the same thing.
I think sometimes that would be considered our ego that steps in, like,
Yes.
"I'm the
Oh,
correct
certainly.
way, I'm the right way, and you're wrong."
Oh, a
So
million percent. That
mhm,
ego, and I have a very different opinion on it than most people. Most people are like, you got to kill the ego, you got to ego death. Don't let
mm,
the ego. The ego is there to protect us,
agreed.
but we have to
Rein it
have
in.
a and we have to have a good relationship with it, because we have to know that this, now, is this what I truly feel, or is this my protection coming in? Like,
Mhm,
is this me putting that armor on really quick because I'm ready to go to war again, or
mhm,
is this me being true to myself, setting a boundary, knowing that you will not cross this? It's such a different thing. It's like, am I going to war, or am I really truly protecting myself from something that needs to not happen? Because we
agreed.
get in that mindset too, where we feel like this happened to me before, so it's going to happen again.
Mhm,
And to like let that rest is a difficult thing, you
yes.
know, but we have to
Mhm,
have the ego. The ego is not our enemy.
no,
The ego, now we can use it. We can be egotistical. We can be monsters. But
we can, but it's a
yeah, but
choice, and we need to figure out how to rein it in, how to control it, how to use it properly. It
yes,
wasn't given to us for no reason, not to
exactly.
go away or dismiss. It's just we need
Right.
to what the I think it was the doctor that I spoke to on one of the previous episodes, and he was talking about the afterlife and how people here, if they leave and they transition, they don't go into, this joyous occasion because they're still gonna go into another realm learning and growing, and if you learn how to, um use and utilize your ego the proper way here, whatever awaits us on the other side is going to be even better because we've grown, we've
Yes.
learned, evolved,
Yes.
we
Yes.
ascended and evolved and all that fun
Yes.
stuff. So, yeah.
Yes.
So,
It's all, and I really think it's all, I always love that quote. I don't know who said it, but someone said it. It's
mhm,
been around for a while, but it's like that we're all just walking each other home,
mhm,
like, and it's just like we're all, if we lead with love, like you said earlier, and that goes with anyone, not just our children, right? So like if we know that our intentions are true, and it's with love, and this is what, we're intending on treating you right, treating you nice, treating myself right, treating myself nice. It's like, how can you really go wrong when you lead with love? It's like if you just kind of put those like feelings of like, oh, I'm not going to let this happen to me again, or those kind of things, if you just kind of put those to the side and you just think like, what would I want someone to treat me like in this situation, and how would I treat, like, even if you have to think of your child, because that's who you love the most unconditionally, like how would I treat them in this
mhm,
situation, so
mhm,
that way you can treat a perfect stranger that way too, like treat
right,
them like you would the person that you love the most,
mhm,
and if you treat people like that, I believe that it comes back that way.
agreed. Not always, but most cases.
Yes,
I
yes,
my
not out there. Now there's evil out there, we know
yeah.
this, there's
Unfortunately,
true.
in my day job, I encounter people that you can try to lead with love and they do not care. They just
Yes. Well, and
when
like
once
that's the thing just about this time that we're in anyways. It's such a
mhm,
spiritual warfare anyways.
really it
So
is.
it's like
Mhm,
it when we do lead with love, that darkness does try to push back, but we just have to keep pushing, we just keep
Mhm.
pushing through. And it's not that it's not going to affect us, of course, there's going to be times that we come home with that energy, you're at work, you're dealing with this all day, it drains you, you get some of that attached to you, you come home and it's not you, that's not your energy, that's not how you feel or you think, but it's
Mhm.
stuck and it's heavy. And it's
Yeah.
like, I've got to move this away.
Yes, yes. Now, I know like we're more into the spiritual conversations right now, but I kind of want to give our viewers and listeners, I don't know, a little sneak peek into really who you are. Can we talk about your modeling just a little bit?
Yeah, yeah. So, it's something that I've actually transitioned over with my, yoga and everything as well. So I actually started out just doing photography. So I was behind the camera. So, I never really thought I was going to get in front of the camera. But at that time, when I was doing photography, I was doing pinup. So like 1940s, 1950s
Mhm.
style, do the hair and the makeup. I had all the sets for it and everything. 1940s kitchen set, 1950s diner
Those
set, just
are
all the
gonna be
cutest.
flying It's gonna be flying by on the screen here, so just so you guys
Yeah.
can get an idea. Uh,
So, you know, I actually was having some of the girls that worked for me take like behind the scenes, like when I was photographing a client. And during that period in my time, I mean, I dressed pinup every single day, did my
mhm,
hair and
I
makeup
remember.
every single day.
Yep.
Yes. So that was my lifestyle. I lived that retro lifestyle at that time. And so just with the little behind the scenes clips of me dressed up and shooting a client, I had companies reach out to me like, hey, would you be interested in modeling for our clothing line? Or, we have a magazine coming out and we need this exact kind of picture. And because I had my own studio, it like worked for them because they were like, she can set up the set, she can pop in there, tripod it, boom, cover,
Mhm. Yep.
done all in one. It was like the
Wow.
photographer and the
Yeah.
model and the hair and makeup artist. So it was like easier for companies and magazines and
Mhm.
different things to work with me that way because it was like they didn't have to hire three different people. It was an all in one. So that's kind of how I got my start in modeling, was just from being photographed photographing. you
Right.
know
Wow. Yeah, no,
um
that was a fun time. I remember watching
yeah,
all that.
yeah.
Um, God, just so maybe the viewers and fans know, I've literally watched this woman, I don't know, transform into the beautiful creature she is now. I remember watching her on her 21st birthday, have her first drink. Um,
Yes, maybe
yeah,
it
lots
wasn't
of,
my first, but
oh, I'm sure, but hey, for the show.
you
But
know legal reasons.
Uh, yeah, lots of fun stuff. But yeah, the modeling was definitely my favorite period of time. The pinup girl look, the daily. I was like, how do you do it? I couldn't. I don't even know. Like it was.
Exhaustion.
I know a lot of fun times. Her sets were amazing. And then your early days of photography, the boys, you guys, she did some amazing things of her little ones. They were her first models.
Yes, yes,
She'd get a new
they were my test dummies.
Yep, she'd get a new set, and then you would see, like, 15,000,000 photos of them on that set, and they were so
Yes,
cute, they were all smiley and,
yes,
little
yes.
guys, and
Maybe
then
a little bribed with treats,
of course, of course, but that's,
Yes.
all part of learning and growing, and the photography you are now is I mean, in my opinion, you were always the most amazing, but, I might be biased,
Thank
but,
you.
I think that if anyone were to look back at your portfolio at that time and look at now, you've grown and evolved and learned, so
Oh, I do that too. Sometimes I'm like, oh, girl, what were
what
you putting out there?
the right?
What were you really doing? You
Yeah,
charged people for that? But
and
what,
they paid.
and they loved it. And it was
Yeah.
the best thing ever. And I'm like, oof, when I look back now. But also just with the times, photography itself has evolved. Camera equipment
Mhm.
has
Oh, yeah,
evolved.
absolutely.
my
What
camera
were
that I
we
have now is like the hottest thing ever.
right,
I'm
yeah.
like, ooh, you beautiful thing,
Yeah, back
know?
then, we were using the little Canons
Oh
and the
yeah,
Rebels
yeah,
and all that stuff, and
yeah.
I think I still have my Rebel.
Yeah.
I
And the
I
whole
most
reason it's funny that you say like that the boys would be, my test models and there would be a 50 million photos
mm,
because the whole reason that I started with photography was because I wanted better pictures of the boys. I
mhm,
had one of those little point and shoot cameras.
mhm.
And I remember I went, it was a place called Circuit City. I don't know if they still
Yep.
have those.
No, it went
Uh,
out of business, but I remember
yeah.
that place.
Yes. So I had bought this little point and shoot, but I mean, at the time, I mean, I was young, it was expensive. And so I was like, this doesn't work. All the pictures were blurry and I'm like, something's wrong with it. So I like go in there. This is broken, And the
Mm,
guy tells me like, they're just too fast. Like they're moving. You're trying to take this picture. The blur is causing this. I
mhm.
had no idea about any of the actual aspects of
Yeah, aperture
photography. None
speeds,
of the
yeah,
technical
all that stuff,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he's like giving me a little rundown and he goes, and I said, well, what would I need to be able to take pictures where they are not blurry? And he's like, you would want to start with a DSLR and, whatever. And I'm like, well, how much is that? And it was way
Oh,
out of
yeah.
my price range.
Yeah. Mm.
So I went back and I got home and I told my Mom, this is how much this costs. And my mom was all about money,
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
right?
You had
So
to
I
break
said,
it down to her, like, "This is
yes,
what it costs. This
but
is why I
I'm
need
going
it."
to make it make money, Mom.
Right.
And
Mhm.
she knows because I'm a Capricorn. If I say I'm
Yeah,
going to make something make money, I'm
it's
going to
gonna
make it
happen.
make money,
Yeah.
So I said, I am going to, I need your help. I want to get this. I asked my husband at the time, too, I was trying to get them to go
Mhm.
halfsies because I wasn't working. I was a stay at home mom. And I was like, if you both give me half, I'm going to make this money. I'm going to make this continue to make money and I will pay you both back. So at the time I was living in like a little apartment complex. It was
Mhm.
me and Nevin was a baby. So I had the three boys.
Mhm.
And so I got the camera. They were all for it, they believed in me, they had faith in me, they were ready to watch
I
this
remember,
happen.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
I had these little, I mean, horrible photos that I had taken of the boys on this little set that I set up in the
They're not
apartment.
horrible.
I
At
mean,
the
I went,
time, it was like all of us were seeing it like, "Oh my god, look at her. Wow, Jess is a natural." We were just all
oh,
as just but I mean, I think we look at it now like, "Oh, wow, that really?" But
oh,
that's because
girl.
I think times have
Yes,
changed, and what we
yes,
see visually now is not what we would have seen then. So at
right.
that time, I believe you were close to the cutting edge of things. I
Oh,
think that you were very unique because we were all astounded, like, "Oh, wow, your mom, like, remember that camera I bought her? I'm like, look at this." I'm like, "Oh, she did it." Like,
yes,
wow. But yeah, so
yeah.
definitely
And I made
determined
yeah, and
Capricorn.
I made like these little flyers, with the pictures that I
Mhm.
had tested of the
I
boys,
remember.
and I went and I posted them around the apartment complex, like $50 photo shoot, and like I was printing the pictures from like my
Mhm,
computer
little
printer
printer,
for
yeah.
them and whatever, and I made that money back in a month
Yep.
and I
Yep.
paid them back. And I
Mhm.
was like, now this is mine, and
Right?
now anything
And
that I make from this
mhm,
is mine. And it was just like my first real step at independence as well, because I had always worked for my mom, or
mhm,
my dad.
mhm,
I had never had like an outside job from the house. I was a stay-at-home mom. So I was controlled financially, so that was like my first real step at being like, I can take care of myself.
right, right. No,
um
I remember, and I like I said, your life having been someone who's watched it, like a movie almost,
well,
you've metamorphosed, like transformed, like the butterfly, it really truly has, um been a pleasure to watch and be part of. But yeah, no,
That I
I
needed this today. I didn't know how much I needed this today.
I feel strongly that you are someone that should speak loud to the public because I mean, I can't get into it, but I know what you've been through. I literally know firsthand, walked through that with you. And
Yes.
if anybody knew what you'd been through and where you are now, they would not lose hope. They would continue to push through and not be a victim, not sit in your shit because it's
Yes.
possible. It's possible to come from the most horrific events and still become something amazing. So,
Yes.
yeah.
And
Um,
it's funny that you say that and not be a victim, because that is one thing that I do pride myself in, is that I never took on that victim mentality. And even at
mm,
one point in my life, and um obviously we won't discuss everything, but just this part I think is
right.
important, and it's been calling me. So I'm just going to say, but
Mm.
there was a point where I was in a domestic violence victims group, and that's what they called it. And I hated that.
I
I
do
did
too.
not want to be in a group that was called domestic violence victims.
Victims, yeah, no,
I'm like,
victims.
we are here. We are no one's victim. We are survivors. We are
Absolutely.
warriors.
I
And
believe it
so,
lends to that victim mentality when you're called
yes.
a victim constantly.
Yes. And I told the woman, like, this is not helpful to anyone having it be called this, you know? And so it changed.
Good
It
for you.
changed. And there's something to be said about that too. It's just that, and I'm human. So I mean, I'm
Mhm,
not gonna say I never felt like, oh my God, I just give up. Because I
mm-mm,
did. I did feel that way. There was times where
mhm,
I was just like, what can I do? I just felt stuck. I felt defeated. But and it's a true testament. I prayed. I got on my knees and I just prayed and I begged and I pleaded and I said everything that was in my heart, and I asked everything that I needed, every single thing that I needed, and I was specific, and I was trying to make it as accurate as I could, and everything started to change after that. And it
mhm,
was, for a long time I was angry with God for taking my mom, so I stopped praying, and that and I see, when I look back now, and I look back on that time when I was just angry with God, and I see all the things that I went through, I'm like,
mm.
well, no wonder.
Right.
Because your relationship with God had been put so far down that you were just creating more chaos around you on a constant basis, and you had
Mm,
nowhere to put that. Like, I didn't have faith at the time. I didn't have, because I was just so angry. And I think we've
right.
all been in that position at some point in our life, where something happens, and you're just like, how could this happen if there is a higher power? Because this is horrible and this is awful.
Welcome to my world daily. I question it
Yeah.
daily.
I think that everybody does, though, and I think it's about what you do with that, and this,
Mm,
just this way, the way that the world is right now, just everything going on and all the chaos surrounding, is because it really is a spiritual warfare right now,
yes.
like, it just is. And like, so I think that, and I appreciate you so much for just saying that. Like, I never have gotten in that, victim mentality. And
You haven't,
I
so
just,
yeah.
I
Again, like
just have
I
tried to, like, I think too, because I do have the boys, like, if
mm,
it was just me, and that's why I know that, like, they are my purpose, because if it was just me, maybe I would have just been like, this. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, I'm done, but like, I knew I have these five beautiful beings that rely on
Mm,
me. And like, it gave me the strength and it gave me the courage to be like, no, you know what? This is not how our story ends. This
nope.
is not, because, like, every one of them has such a bright future, and I saw that. And like, I mean, now my oldest son, he's a nurse,
Oh, my
and he's
gosh.
and he's my healer. Like he really truly
Mm.
is. He's a Leo, and he has
Oh.
that fire and that
Mhm.
energy. And then we have Nathaniel, who is my Capricorn baby, born
Oh,
the day
like
after my
mama.
18th
Mhm.
birthday. Yep. He tried to steal my birthday. You probably remember that when
Right,
I was
yes.
miserable and pregnant. Um, but he is my mirror,
Mm.
and we had the hardest time because he was so much like me, but he did not want to learn my lessons, like, or his lessons through my lessons. He did not. He had to make his own. He had to have his own mistakes and his
That's
own
because
things.
he's just like you. So, the
Exactly.
same.
So we butted heads, and like
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that that was why for a while, until I was like, oh my God, he's the dude version of me.
Mm. Right,
Like,
yeah.
oh, this is what my mom was talking about when she said, you'll understand when you have kids.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
understand. This is
Right.
awful. Help me. you know?
Right?
Um,
She's
and
just
he,
laughing.
I know, with her Bud Light.
Right? Probably.
In her heaven, there is Bud Light.
Oh, well, apparently, if you listen to, the show I did with um, was it Dr. Craig Hogan, he talks about all of the pleasures we have in this life are there. They're
Yeah.
available to us if we have
Yeah.
ascended to that higher understanding.
Oh, I love that.
Otherwise, we're gonna be
I'm
in
gonna
some
have
kind
to.
of
I
weird.
listened to some,
Yeah,
and I was really
um,
enjoying it. I'm
you
gonna have to
can
listen to the rest of
catch it
that
on
one.
Spotify, but I would recommend YouTube because you can actually see him,
Oh, I love
just
that.
his visual, just him himself, if he's listening or watching, hi, Mr. Hogan, but, but, he was very calming, had such an amazing vibe, and I
Ooh, I love
literally
that.
enjoyed that, like, gives you something when someone else is giving off a good vibe, it just gives you something, so
Yes,
yeah,
that
he was fun.
energy. Energy does not lie.
So
It
you
doesn't.
definitely should go check that episode out because I
I
think it would give
certainly
you
will.
insight into what your mom is doing now. I'm pretty sure she's
Yeah.
doing it all. So
Yeah, all of
if
it,
we know
all
her,
the
she's doing it
things.
all. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Um,
moving forward a little bit, like when you have really embraced your spirituality and cleared your mind, kind of like not a victim, I'm moving forward. I believe that changes how you see relationships. And I think, like, now that you are in a pretty secure and happy relationship, do you think any of that growth, that spirituality, that pushing, that drive helped you to find the best partner for you?
Yes, I really do. And it's so funny too, because you know how they always it's like that saying, right? And it seems so like, oh, whatever. But it's like when you stop looking and when you do the work on yourself, that's when you really find someone who matches with you and is
Mm,
on that level with you. And that's really what happened. Like I just went into my own zone. I did the work on myself. I really was like, I want to show up and be the best version of myself, because I want somebody to show up and be the best version of themselves too,
mm,
and
right.
I think that you know, really makes a difference. And just the way that I communicate in my relationship is so different than any other relationship that I've been in. Like, of course, we're human, and we'll sometimes, like I said, I did not agree that we were saying the same thing. Like the
Mm.
other day, I was like, no, we didn't. You know what I mean? Like we're
Yeah.
human, and we're still gonna have those moments where we don't see eye to eye. But the most amazing thing about him is that even if he doesn't agree with me or he doesn't believe the same thing as me, he would never try to make me feel less for that. And we can
Mm,
agree to disagree. Like, if he, like, even just in certain beliefs when it comes to spirituality or things like that, when we've had discussions, he's like, I don't know if I believe that. And I'm like, well, you don't have to believe that, but that's what I believe, you
right.
know? And same with him when he brings something to me and he's like, well, the Bible says this or that. And I'm like, well, that's great, but I don't technically believe that portion. And he's like, well, if you don't believe a portion of it, then you don't believe any of it. And I'm like, well, that's not true, because it's written by
Mm,
people. So different people have different perspectives on things. I believe the
agreed.
stories, I believe how it happened, I believe all those things. But some of the things that they say in there, I'm like, that's perspective based. So it's, I mean, it's people sharing a story.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
agree. I can't make too many statements on that. My guests can because, anything I make a statement, whether I believe in this or that, I get hate mail, so
right,
I
right.
just stay away from it. But
But you
you
know
can
what I
say,
mean? It's
yeah.
like
No,
if
I do
you
understand,
have,
though.
yeah, it's like if you have different beliefs on different things, that doesn't mean that you can't still love each other and still think,
Mhm.
the world of each other. Like, I would never try to make him or force him, and he would never do that with me. So
Mm.
even though some of the things we don't, because you're never going to fully agree with any person. I mean,
Agreed.
in any
Yeah.
relationship, like, I have 5 sons. They are my children. They came from my body. I don't agree with them about everything.
Mhm.
So why would I try to force that on a partner? I think that what our biggest problem with that kind of thing, just as a whole, and like societal norms and like societal standards and just
Mm.
all the things that we're force fed all the time, is like, you have to be so happy and so in love, and everything has to be so rainbows and butterflies
Right.
all the time.
No,
That is not going
not
to
the way it
happen.
goes. Right.
Like, relationships are work, and you have to continue to choose your person every single day.
Mm.
And
Absolutely.
yeah,
And
and you
it's
show up in different ways. And sometimes he has more energy to bring to the relationship, and he's taking care of it more than I am. And sometimes I have more to bring, and I'm taking care of it more than he is. But
that's
we both
partnership.
know,
Mhm.
yeah. And it's like we both know at the end of the day, like, if you need me, I'm here. If I need you, you're there. Like, we're good. We're golden. And like, even if it's something like we have, which my mom, this is my mom's thing. You do not go to bed angry. And I tell that to everyone. Like, even
Mhm.
with your kids, with anyone in relationships, like, even if you can't come to an agreement on something, you still tell each other you love each other, and you just do not go to bed being angry and having the last thing being something that was an argument or
Mm.
something that you did not see eye to eye on. Like, you can deal with it the next day, if you need to sleep on it or whatever, but like, say I love you, show each other some compassion before bed, like give each other a hug, like, hey,
Agreed.
this isn't like over. I'm still mad,
But
or
we'll
whatever
figure
it
it out.
is.
Right.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and that goes like with my kids too. I never want them to be in bed
Thinking my mom
upset.
doesn't love me or
Yeah,
yeah,
or
right.
yeah, or like, what is tomorrow going to be like? Is she going
Mhm.
to love me, or is
She's gonna
she
be
going to?
mad or
Yeah.
but I also
So
think to get to these types of great relationships, you have to work on yourself spiritually.
I just
Maybe
pulled
it's
stuff real
yoga,
smart.
maybe it's okay. Maybe it's yoga, maybe it's meditation, whatever it is. Maybe you just need to go like get therapy. I don't know, but
Yeah.
in order to get to these, these places, these great relationships and these understandings, you have to work on yourself. I
Yes.
learned that the hard way. Like I've said, I recently got married like 6 months ago, and this person probably should have
That makes
been
me like, I was so happy.
I know,
I
like,
was
you're,
like,
like, finally
yes, we
your
are on
mother
the same wavelength. We
your
are getting
mother
what we
probably
deserve.
your mother was probably cheering from heaven. I remember the first
Yes.
time she met him many years ago, and she was like, "He's the one," and I'm like, "You're out of your mind. I don't even know," and she's like, "He's the one," and, it just took me growing. I felt like I didn't know enough about the world, or I felt like possibly I'd be missing out on and every time we would fight or argue or disagree, instead of trying to jump in and like what you said, really try to work through it, I'm like, "Nope, never mind, it's over."
Shut it down.
It's
Yep, shut
we're
it down.
done, we're
Here comes
done.
the wall. The wall's
Yep,
going up.
and literally, and then it became at one point, like, he began doing the same thing, and I think the universe meant for us to always be together, but it had to shake me up. And
Yes.
I had to learn in the hardest way. I had met an individual who I thought was my friend, but then crossed some boundaries. Then I thought, wait, there's more, and then there's not more. And it took me going through literally like 4 years of that to see who loves you will always show up for you. They won't hide
Yes.
from you, they won't play games with you.
Yes.
And then at the tail end of that, I went through some major health issues, and the man I married was the only one that showed up for me. And
Mm.
you realize, you open your eyes one day like, what the hell have I been doing? This
Yes.
person loves me and is ride or die, and it's unconditional. And
Yes.
I'm very happy. We do argue sometimes because I'm right.
But that's just, yeah, because I'm right.
Right.
But
But
that's just
that's, yeah.
normal. Like I tell everyone, I'm like, you don't get it. You like I always compare things to my kids because that's my like
Mhm.
I guess that's my standard for love,
Right,
right? It's the way
right.
that I love kids. But it's like you don't get along with your kids all the time.
No, not at
Any
all.
relationship, there's
No.
friendship,
Mhm,
parents, any relationship, there's going to be struggles because we all have a different perspective on things. We're all viewing it from wherever we are at that time in our mind, in our soul, whatever level that we have evolved to is what we are viewing it from. So, it takes work. And that's what it truly
mhm,
comes down to is like at the end of the day, I choose you to do this with. I choose
mhm,
you to argue with. I choose you to
mhm.
steal the covers from. I choose you to have the freaking wet towel on the floor.
God, yes. You
It's
know how many
just
times he screams at me about that? I'm one of those. I throw my wet shower towel, like, everywhere because 'cause I'm
yes.
always in a rush. It's like, that location is now wet. It'll dry.
You
Um,
said, so are you
so
picking it up or am I?
right?
Yes.
But yeah, no, and again, it's a lot of work, and not necessarily work that maybe, like, how do I say this? Like, the nonsense and trauma that you went through, and it really was nonsense because it wasn't
Mhm.
anything that had anything to do with you. You did nothing to bring that on, to deserve it. I've also been through my own issues, and nothing I did was it shouldn't have happened, but it
Yes,
did. And I think that we had those things in front of us to learn how to be a better person, a better partner. I mean, had you not gone through it, you may not have arrived at where you are now,
I
spiritually
agree.
anyway.
And that was something that my mom always said to me that everything happens for a reason.
Mhm.
And even if we can't see the reason at that time,
You'll
eventually
see it
we
in the
will.
future.
I mean, I wouldn't have my youngest son if it wasn't for that whole situation.
Mhm.
He wouldn't be here. And he completed like he's our baby, like me and the boys, like he's our baby.
Yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
you guys raised him all together. It was
Yeah,
like a group
exactly.
effort at that
Group
time.
ever. Exactly. When they say that you need the village, like I
Oh, no,
already made the
yeah.
village, so we had
You
it.
were the goddess mother who created the whole village. So,
Yes. And
really
then it's
though, yeah.
like, and then it's like, it's like I see that, and I see too that if anything, it made me understand that I need to have boundaries. Like, I don't need to have walls, like to just guard my heart and protect my heart, which I mean,
Mhm.
I'm still learning that too. Like, I mean,
Right.
but I have a patient partner,
Mhm.
So it's like I'm still learning that I don't have to like come out as like rough and tough Jess and
Right.
like nobody's gonna hurt me and like
Not
I've been there, done
everyone
that.
What we have to
Yeah.
realize is not everyone's gonna hurt us, but the
Yeah, like
ones
I
that
don't have
did.
to feeling
Mhm.
that feeling of like I don't have to protect myself
Mhm.
with you.
Right.
Like I never thought that I would feel that.
I
I
know,
never
and
did.
it's hard to overcome
So
behaving
sometimes
that
I
way.
still, yeah, it's like, so
Mhm.
sometimes it still comes up. That's trauma. Like you said, there's things
Mhm.
that are still going to come up, or a certain word is said, or a certain like excuse for something is coming out, and you're
Like,
like,
"Oh my
wait a
god, what is
minute.
he doing? What's going on?"
Wait
Yeah.
a minute.
It's
I
yeah.
heard that before, or
Mhm.
just whatever it is, it'll bring that kind of like glimpse of what happened before, but there's a time when, and because I'm an anxious person anyways, you know what I mean? So there's a time when I say, is this your anxiety or is this your intuition? Like,
Mhm.
think about it before you move forward with what's happening. And I think that the biggest thing is just like our communication is unmatched. Like when our communication is on, it is on. Like, I mean, I
Mhm.
could probably send him like a telepathic message, because like
I
I
know,
just feel like
it's very
we
much
get
the
so
same way
on.
for us, yeah.
And then there's days where I'm like, you're not understanding what I'm saying.
And he's like, "Why
So
are you biting my head off?" You're like, "You know
right.
what? Go away."
I'm like, listen, you're just not gonna understand. You're just not like, I'm not gonna
Right,
explain it,
right. But again, like I said with my lesson, it was, more of a friendship lesson, but I learned to see who is actually there for you and who's not. Who truly wants to be there. They will physically be present. They will emotionally be present. They will not dismiss you. And just learning that helps us to look, like with your past trauma, you're putting a wall, maybe you're not putting the wall. But either way, if you look back at the past and you recognize who didn't really want to be there, who
Mhm.
really didn't care enough to protect you and your feelings, you'll realize who is there now, who is
Yes.
there protecting your feelings, who is patient enough to say, oh gosh, she's in that kind of mood. I'll hit her up
Yeah.
later.
Just throw a candy bar.
Yeah, throw her a snack, she'll be okay.
Yes. She's hungry.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
no, that happens. We get hangry over
Mhm.
here, and it's yeah,
Mhm.
it's a whole
Oh,
different world.
girl, I gotta have my snacky snacks. Like,
Mhm, me
I'm
too,
gonna need a
yeah,
snack. I'm gonna need a nap. Like
right.
that. I feel like if I was a napping person, life would be easier on everyone because
If
I just
I
walk
had
around tired,
if
girl.
I had a if I had a time to nap during my day, oh my
Right.
god.
And that's what it is with
Mhm.
me too. And then it's like by the time that I would have time to take a nap, it's like if I go to sleep now,
I won't sleep tonight.
I won't
Mhm.
sleep tonight. And it's like, and the kids will always be like, Mom, just take a nap. Like you need to lay down. You got 3 hours of sleep last night. Like you need to lay
Yeah,
down.
but
You're
then I'm
tired.
gonna
You're
get 3 more
overwhelmed.
hours if I take a
Yeah.
nap now.
I'm like,
No.
I'm gonna screw it all up all over again. I
But
might as well drink this coffee, get through the rest of the
mhm.
day, and we'll try again
Right.
tonight.
There are some days, like yesterday, I don't even know what happened. I came home, I got off work around 4:35. I laid in my bed and I passed out till like 6:30 or 7, and
Oh,
then
you
I
were up
got
the
up.
whole night.
No, no, strangely
No?
enough, I got up, I ate a little something, I went back to bed at 9 o'clock, and I did not wake up till 9 this morning.
Needed it.
8:30 when I started talking to you this morning, I had just
Yes.
woken up.
You
So,
needed it.
yeah,
You
yeah.
needed that rest. And like that's what the thing is too. I'm trying to get better about really listening to my body when it comes to that because I've been on team no sleep for
Oh,
so
no.
long. And
Mm.
it's like I just like I'm trying to get better, but I have so much going on all the time. And like they don't tell you this, but like even when your kids turn 18, it doesn't
Oh,
matter. It
no,
doesn't
I
get
know. I have an
like I have
adult
a
child.
21-year-old, a 21 or 21, 20, 18, 15, and 8. And like someone always needs something. I've got to show up for someone for something. Someone's having trouble with this. Someone needs help here.
Mhm.
Can you do this for me? I have to go to work on your way here. Can you take this for
Yep,
me to there and do that? And it's just like,
I know,
and I'm
and,
like, there's one of me, there's five of you.
yeah,
Like, can you
I
guys
get it.
kind
That's
of make
hard.
teams? Can you have a buddy system? Can you group up with each
Right?
other? Like,
Help each other,
like
yeah.
I can't. I'm like, and but that's something that I'm learning too is like I've got to tell them like, hey, I can't be all things all the time. Like, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? And that's so hard for me because I
Yeah,
want to.
you're close.
I
You're
want to.
super close to them
Yeah.
too, so
Yeah, I'm like, if they're, it's never that I don't want to. It's never that I don't see their things that are important to them as important to me. It's just like, hey, like the bills need to get paid. Mama's
mm,
got to work. So this
right,
has to be a priority. Like I have to make money. You like the house? You like the food? Okay.
right. Not only that,
I've
you
got to
just
do
need
this.
time for yourself as well, but yeah. How does your tarot reading play a part in your daily life? Do you ever refer to your cards? And
Oh,
I
yeah.
know I do
So,
mine constantly, like, I kind of
yes.
abuse them sometimes, so
Those 4 cards. So I
yeah.
actually I have a great set of clients that I read for, some daily, some, it just depends on what their schedule is. I have some that are just kind of sporadic when they need some insight, kind of call in. I might not hear from them for a month. I have some that have their weekly appointment set up. I have some that have their daily appointments, some that will just text me, hey, are you available? Um very very different with each client, but um when so that is an aspect, that is something that I've been leaning more into. I feel like my mom has really pushed me into that too. I've gotten so, like, my bread and butter has almost become more of my spiritual side, which I love and adore. I
Mm,
mean, I'm still doing photo shoots. I'm very much an active photographer. My modeling,
mm.
I kind of switched over to working with companies that are more in line with my beliefs and what I am into now, so more of like the spiritual and the yoga and the self-help and
I
things like
know,
that.
I see you model for a lot of, like, the stones and the jewelry and
Yes,
stuff like that,
yes.
and
Which
that's
this,
always
my
fun.
friend Aaron, higher alignment, he made this,
Ah,
and it
beautiful.
is just so beautiful. His wrapping is unmatched, like
Wow.
just unmatched. He's
Maybe we
amazing.
can throw the links up on our socials when we
Yes,
post this show, so that'll be fun.
yes.
Yeah.
Uh, but so, as far as reading for myself, I tend to not read for myself as often, um, just because I feel like, my mom just sends me so many messages anyways.
I know,
Like, I
right?
just feel like, anytime I feel her, it's my thing has always been, my body has always been what shows me how things are, how I feel. And it was very difficult for me to kind of discern what was, like I said, my anxiety versus my
Mhm.
intuition. And sometimes I still get it confused. Um, but I have deepened that practice as well. Like when I feel her nudge me, when I feel that, like, listen, because you never listened when she was here. So,
Mhm.
or I would listen but do the complete opposite. Like, oh, that's
Right.
great, sounds wonderful. I'm not doing that. You
Right,
know.
yeah.
So, like, for me, I don't really read for myself very often. Part of my practice is for myself is journaling, and I really like to just write down things. I've written poems since I was a kid. I write things down so I remember, um, and I think that that's more of my practice for myself, is just sort of writing down everything that I think that I need, writing down everything that I think that I need to overcome, things that I need to work on, things like that. And that's more of my practice for myself. When I do read for myself, my mom just comes through the whole entire time.
That's fun.
So,
That's fun.
yeah, so it just, like, when I do read for myself, and I love it, don't get me wrong, I love it. I will sometimes be like, "Hey, girl,
Can you stop?
let's
Yeah.
let's get this together because I got some stuff that needs to happen. So can you, push me in the right direction?"
There you go, yeah.
And but I'll read for myself and I'll see and I'll thank her. It's every time. So um I still get emotional. I still miss her. There's a void that will never be filled.
Mhm.
I didn't get to apologize for things that I wanted to apologize for.
I know, so yeah,
I didn't get apologies
I
for
know,
things that I needed them for.
yeah.
I didn't get to have the time that I wanted with her. Um, it's hard. It's something that you have to, um, like I said, you would have had to know her to understand.
Yep.
And so sometimes I feel like when I tell people who maybe don't know me or who maybe don't understand me or haven't known me for long enough and never got to meet her, when I say, like, this week for me is shit.
Mm. Oh, yeah,
Like,
it's a
well,
hard
how
one.
can it be when it's been so long? Don't ever put a time on it, because that's where we're not going to see eye to eye, you
I don't
know?
think there is a time on grief or loss at
No,
all, and
because
like you
I,
said, if
yeah, like,
people knew her.
yes. And there's that quote too where it's, grief is love with nowhere to go, right?
Mhm.
And like that, I think, is what the hardest thing is that I thought she was going to get better and I was going to have my chance to take care of her and to show her and to be there and to, like, have my time with her. And so I think that just knowing that, and it does come up, and oh my god, Facebook memories tries to kill me, so I have to, like, stay off, because some of the stuff,
Mhm.
like, it just puts me right back into that. And then
I
other
know.
people, other people check on me. They know my dates. They know, this is Jess's mom's birthday. It's St. Patrick's Day. Everybody remembers that. They'll send you thinking of you. And, we
Mm,
get the green hearts and the clovers going. And,
yeah, yeah.
um, and she was a loss. It was a loss for so many. I mean, all the kids that were at the hockey rink that loved her and looked up to her as a mom, all the different times in her life too. Like, how you said that you've watched my life
Your
like a
life,
movie.
yeah.
It's her too. I mean, she was an aerobics instructor. She was
Mhm.
the coordinator of the YMCA. She owned a hockey rink. She owned the phone room. She did some adult industry stuff.
Mhm.
Um,
That's where I came in.
she, yeah, it's a little bit of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Fun
and
times.
so all the different people's lives that she touched there, it was not just
Mm-mm.
a regular
Tremendous,
loss. Yeah,
tremendous loss. She
yeah,
was, a force to be reckoned with on this earth. I've never met anybody who was so talented, smart, and who just powered through everything she ever took on. Like, just
yes,
thinking when I was younger, I wanna be just like her. I hope I've
yes,
done her justice.
yeah, of
But
course, of
yeah,
course.
and I'm
Just
so
just
blessed.
like you say, she's proud of me, she's proud of you too, and I know that in my heart.
Yeah. Um, I'm blessed to be part of you all in your life and have met you. I actually have not met your oldest sibling, but um your other one, yeah.
I got her out here. I got her to move
Oh,
out here, so she's living out here in Ohio now
oh,
too.
it's awesome. That's
Yes,
amazing. Good for you both. That's gonna
yes.
be healing and
Yes,
needed.
it has been. She's been out here, I think it's been 2 years now. So it's been nice. It really has been healing, and I feel like my mom wanted that for us
I
too,
agree.
Yeah.
And once
She
you can
always
get
you know how she was, she wanted her kids getting along. She wanted the kids
absolutely.
together.
And
That's all
hopefully
she
you can
wanted.
get that last sibling out there and things will
Yes.
be great. I
Yes.
remember you two girls were talking about in one of my Facebook comments about how you so you guys have played with the spiritual world since childhood. You were talking
Yes.
about like levitating games at
Yes.
sleepovers and you're scaring your
Yes, we would
friends.
we would freak our friends out. I mean, me and her have always had, well, because we just I think we always had it, and my mom always had it, and my mom just had to stifle her gifts, and she had to stifle so many things about herself, but she never did that to us. So like we just felt things all the time, but we would make games out of things, and we thought we were just playing pretend, and
Mhm.
we would be like, this is magical, and this is this, and we thought we were just playing pretend, but it was rituals, and it was different things that we just knew it was encoded in us.
You just
Like,
always had
oh,
a
let's,
spiritual side drawn to you.
yes.
Yeah.
We would set up little things with, like rocks that we
Mhm.
collected and just, all kinds of just different things that were games to us. But,
It was
we were,
somewhere embedded in your mind. It was just part of who you were.
yes,
But I thought the funniest part of that was that you scared all your friends.
yes.
They're like, "What's wrong with these girls?" Well, can't go
We're
to their
like, come
house.
on, let's play a game.
Let's see if we can levitate you in the air.
Yes, they're like,
No.
oh.
Yeah. So I'm thinking we hit the hour mark. We need to wrap it up, but it has been such a blessing to be here with you on this day. I mean,
I
if they
know.
don't know, then they just don't know. So,
If they don't
no,
know, then
no.
they just don't know. If
Yeah.
you don't know, well, now you know.
Yeah. Um
Yes.
so real quick, do you teach yoga classes in your area or on the internet or
So
anything?
yeah, so what I do is I do one-on-ones. So you'd be that in person, or I do a lot over FaceTime. So when I started it, it was during COVID. So that was kind of, I needed to make money. I was shut down because, hair, when
Mhm.
salons shut down, I had to, because hair and makeup is part of my services for my photography.
Right.
So I was like, I need money.
Mhm.
So I had finished up my yoga teacher training, and so I started virtual, teaching that way. And I think just because that's where I started, that's how I became accustomed to teaching. So I have FaceTime and Zoom clients still from that period of time. I do like to do one-on-one teachings with clients in person as well, especially when the weather is nice. I love doing
Mm.
outdoor. So yeah, I teach in and I'll do like small groups or things like that. I've had where like women that have been my clients will hire me for their birthday and like invite all of their friends over, and we'll do like
Oh,
a
that's
yoga
fun.
session and then tarot after, and it's so much fun, and I love things like that. I love doing tarot parties.
Oh my
I
gosh, that
love
would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been working on and it's funny because of course it's March, right? So
Mm.
I've been working on, since I already have my photography page, which is justwphotography.com. I already pay for everything for that. I was like, I'll just make a dedicated page for my spiritual stuff too. So I've been working on that, and it's I made it called Journey with Jess.
Oh.
So I have my breath work and yoga and tarot and Reiki on there. And I'm still kind of putting it all together. It's not complete. Like, I want to put some videos and some pictures on there and stuff, but it's
Mm.
there. It's
Right, it's
on the
up.
internet.
So on
Um,
that page, there's an ability for people to contact you if they want.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and I'm gonna put your link up in the social media when we post this show. So
Okay.
you guys heard it. Spiritual parties, yoga, tarot. I mean, that sounds amazing. I'm
Yes.
coming. I'm gonna get on a plane and come visit.
Yes.
We're gonna do
And
one of those.
I do tarot over the phone or on FaceTime, and yoga too. So you could be wherever in the world. And that's something that I love about that digital and
Yeah.
virtual stuff too, is
Mhm.
like you don't have to, but you have to.
Right. Yes,
You have to come
I
see
want
me.
to. You need to read me. You have never
Yes.
actually read me. I used to, your mom used to read my cards like twice a month. She's like, I feel like
Yes.
you need to talk. I'm like, yeah, I feel like you
Yes.
need a reading. I do.
Yes.
So just
Yes.
that was her way of guiding me in my early life. I was in my 20s and very lost. So,
Yes.
but yeah, no. So we probably should get out of here before we bore people, but, it was wonderful to have you. I would love to have you back. Maybe we could go live one time where you do quick readings for those that jump in the
Yes.
comments.
I
That would be
would
kind of
love
fun.
that. That would be a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Mhm.
Yes.
Or
Let's do some
even
collectives.
I will sit back at one point. We can watch you do some yoga. I'm just gonna sit back with some
Yes.
popcorn because, like, my little body doesn't
I'm gonna
control it that
have
way.
you said, you tell me your favorite snack and I'll eat it while you do yoga, Jess.
Thank you. Yes, because my little body doesn't go that way. I've tried. It
Yes.
doesn't work. I'm laying on the floor telling my husband, Push my leg that way. Come on, push, push, push."
Come on, give me a
He's
little
like,
stretch.
"I think it's gonna break."
Yeah.
Yoga doesn't work. He actually can do it. He's really tall and thin, but for me,
Oh,
I'm like, it just
girl,
doesn't feel right
we're gonna get on a call and I'll show you some stuff that you can do and you'll
for
enjoy.
short people.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
All right. Well, I
Thank
love
you
you
so
so
much.
much. Thank you for
Love
having me.
love you. All right, bye, you
All right.
guys.
Bye, guys.